Well met, lords and ladies. Jacob Butter speaking. As you can see, I am sporting an amazing pair of 3D glasses. And these 3D glasses are no ordinary 3D glasses. That's a lie, they definitely are. But these 3D glasses are something in particular. They are the same 3D glasses that I wore to my first viewing of James Cameron's Battle Angel Alita. And yeah, that was only about 10 minutes ago, I would say. I don't know. Maybe a bit longer. It depends on how long it takes to walk home from the Odeon. Anyway, that's not the point. I'm here today to just give my thoughts, because I haven't done a talking video like this before, and I feel like there's no better topic at the moment to talk about than Alita, while it is incredibly fresh in my mind, though I don't think I'm going to forget anything anytime soon. This is going to be kind of a spoiler-free review as such. I don't know if I can really call it a review, because I don't really have much to critique. There are a couple of nitpicks here and there. I'll get to those later, but I mean, in general, I was impressed by almost everything. All I have done since I've got back home is pee. That's it. I've been holding that in since halfway through the movie. I did not move from my seat. Normally, if I need to pee in the cinema, I will just walk out, go to the loo, then come back. Obviously, you know, factors like people sitting down or whatever will dictate whether I actually go through with it or not. But in any case, the point is that this time was different. This time, I didn't want to miss a single solitary frame. That sounds like an exaggeration. That sounds like an extreme exaggeration. I know it's 11 at night. I'm probably extremely tired and slightly more emotional than I normally am. I say this with my usual monotone voice, but whatever. But I'm genuinely serious. I know that one of the reviews is calling this film the new revolution of film. I don't know if that's the case, really. I feel like that could have easily been a film like Avatar back in the day. Again, same producer. That could be said for quite a few things. I don't know. It depends. This film does have potential to fill that promise. It could be the standard for films of the decade of the 20s. That only time will tell. I'm sure there's things like Marvel films, and Marvel fans themselves will dispute me on that claim, so I'm not going to make that claim because I don't see enough films to know for certain. Especially not visual spectacles of that level. And of course, it is a visual spectacle because it's James Cameron producing. The director, of course, is Robert Rodriguez, who people know for obviously Sin City, All the Spy Kids, Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I'm sure he's done many more things, but that's what I know him for. And all of those films are quite low budget. A lot of the times, Rodriguez would have done all of the production himself. Although I was sitting there through the end credits, because again, not a single solitary frame, I stood by that. There was no end credit scene that I could see. Maybe I missed that one. If so, please tell me, because I will walk straight back to that Odeon theatre and see it again. But this time, there was no such thing as a low budget. Because again, it's James Cameron. Titanic, Avatar. I mean, he's always been, whatever year it is, he's always been at the top of the game. And he's created, you know, some of the highest grossing films of all time. Namely Titanic and Avatar. And do I think this is going to be one of those films? I would say so. Yes, I would say so. I don't know how box office works. I don't know how it's going to perform, but it does seem to have everything, you know, stacked for it. The odds are definitely in its favor. So of course, low budget is not an issue, and it's a lot of the things in that film were rotoscoped, which again is not really revolutionary, since, you know, even Disney was using it, even, you know, in Snow White. So and before that, I'm sure they was using it before that. The Alice comedies from the early 20s, I think they were. Maybe they were 10s. I don't know. But again, rotoscoping has been around for nearly 100 years, I would say. So it's not a new technique, but I mean, neither is film. Film itself is not a new thing. Film cameras have been around since the 1890s, and believe me, I've seen footage of the first films. And, I mean, we'd come a long way even by, I don't know, 1950. So imagine now, 60 years after that mark I just gave. So yes, James Cameron is always in the new, and that is that. And I'm normally not the greatest fan of CGI animation. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's one of those things that, for me, just exists. In fact, there are some stories of mine that if were to be adapted into film sometime in the future, again, really fingers crossed there. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but if it does, there are some stories that I would want exclusively in CGI, because only CGI can do that justice. It can do much more than cell animation. Again, cell animation, 2D animation, hand-drawn, whatever you want to call it. I'm more of a fan of that. Because, I mean, it's a dying art. It's definitely a dying art. And yes, there's still, animes that come from Japan, Korea, all those places that still use it, and very well to this day, incorporating maybe little tiny bits of CGI in there. But for this particular adaptation from an anime, actually, I've seen clips of the original anime, and again, they didn't seem to be as engaging as this film. And they just didn't do the source material as much justice as it could have been. The source material being the manga Gunm. I think that's how it says. Gunm. Yeah, in any case, I begin the CGI and the rotoscoping and the live action, all of that was blended together beautifully. If I were to compare it to another anime, I'd say maybe Akira, which was also 2D, but something like a Miyazaki production as well. I mean, something of that visual scale. The imagination was definitely captured there. And I know it wasn't all Cameron's imagination or Rodriguez's imagination or anyone, because there is source material. And I did recognize a lot of frames that were taken from the anime, and I'm sure there was a lot taken from the manga, of course. So again, it's an adaptation, so it's not like it's a completely original work, but what it is a passion project. Some people might not actually know this, but James Cameron, apparently, according to what I've seen, has wanted to do an adaptation of Battle Angel Alita since 2001. He's been fighting for the rights since 2001. That's nearly my entire lifespan. I was born in 2000. I have only just turned 19, and well, you know that from a stream a few videos ago. So, I mean, chances are, if there's ever a sequel to this film, which they're setting up to be, actually, there looks like there's going to be, I'll probably be 36 by the time it comes out, but I will still be waiting. I will still be patiently waiting that day, and if I have kids by that point, I will drag them to the movie theatre with me. I don't care whatever commitments they have, they will be there. So, yeah, then they will experience the film just as I did. The last film to really impact me like that was probably Cars, which was my favourite film of all time for years, my early childhood, ever since that film first came out. My favourite song to this day is still Find Yourself by Brad Paisley. And that was one that was at the end credits of Cars, which I've seen 70 times. Is this film going to be like that for me? I would say quite possibly. And again, is that down to CGI animation? Maybe. Again, it's just the medium that does it actual justice. So yeah, that's those thoughts. So that's thoughts about the film and the structure itself. Now let's talk about the characters. The character of Alita reminds me of another character in a series that I watched, again, ever since I was a child, almost as long ago as Cars. Not quite, it was a year later that I started watching it. But she reminds me of a character, and I kid you not, called Alita. So instead of Alita, we have Aelita. I know. I mean, strange coincidence, but the thing is that Alita was introduced into that series which is Code Lyoko, by the way, is introduced to that series as a virtual character. So a non-human, but responds to human emotions and has that same connection that Alita does. She's not a cyborg per se, but she is trapped in a computer and has to learn through a boy called Jeremy and his friends, Ulrika, Odd, and Yumi, about the real world. But it's mostly Jeremy who's introducing her to all the concepts, such as what it means to actually, have 5 senses instead of just 2, which would be sight and hearing. Things like what exams actually are and what Brussels sprouts taste like. There's some strange details there. And then, as she was materialized in real life, she still had to continue learning. It turns out, actually, that she had a life beforehand that she'd forgotten. So again, she has amnesia just like Alita. I'll have snipped a bit of this video where I talk about the fate of one of the characters. I'm just going to summarize what I said beforehand without naming said character or what actually happens to him. I watched this film with my cousin, and she said that she wasn't too displeased or didn't feel too sorry for the fate of this unnamed character. But I will say this about that, because this character has done some things that make him less redeemable. There's a quote from Dr. Ito, one of the other characters, that he says, "This city," meaning the city that they live in, "can corrupt even good people." And said character, which I'm not going to mention the name of, nor what happens to him, is definitely one of those cases. He is a corrupted good person, and his heart is in the right place. Anyway, back to Hugo and Alita, because they are the love interest. And, of course, love interest in movies are hit or miss, but this time, they hit. They definitely hit. In fact, they hit so much that, normally I watch films with a completely stoic expression. I cracked a smile a couple of times just along these two. Normally when I'm watching a film, I can't turn off my brain, so I'm always kind of thinking about things through, thinking what I would have done differently. But the critic in my brain is always working. You've seen that. Even in My Street, which is my favorite series, I can rip that to shreds because of my brain. So that sometimes, impedes my response. But this film almost made me cry. Do you know how many films have almost made me cry before this one? One film has almost made me cry before this one. And that is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire and Cedric Diggory and his death, which almost gets me every single time. And Dumbledore's speech after him. But my love of the Harry Potter series aside, this film did in fact almost make me cry. I'm not going to say why, but it did. And that was down to character interactions and things that occur. Like I was saying, there's other characters like Dr. Ito, who I mentioned before, who is the father figure. I think I'm repeating myself here, but he's the one who does find Alita in the scrapyard, and he's the one in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything there. So he's got a lot more going for him than I thought. I thought it was going to be just like the scientist who essentially Alita would escape from later on to fulfill her destiny. But no, he actually does stick around, and so does Alita. They do have a real connection to each other. And yes, they have disputes because Alita has the mind of a teenage girl, and teenage girls do in fact argue with their fathers, as teenage boys do. And mothers. I'm not discriminating there. It's just that happens to be the relationship there. And it's believable. Even though all of the film really takes place across maybe a week or so. So everything that happens since Alita's found in that scrapyard in the trailer, I estimate probably only takes place around a week or so. So she's been reactivated for a week, and it's gone through so much. In fact, everyone has gone through so much, whether it be because of her appearance or because of what she symbolizes, or I don't know. It depends. I mean, it's almost like, you know, the story of the chosen one, except for the fact that she was more like the lucky one or the found one. It's not like there's an ancient prophecy to fulfill, which of course would be ridiculous in a film as futuristic as Alita. And that's another thing. This film is incredibly futuristic. It's set in the year 2563. And that's 300 years after the events that I described before, which would be 2263. So it's futuristic. And normally, I'm not the biggest fan of modern things. Again, like I say, it's normally, as the case with CGI, not the biggest fan, but not a hater in any way, shape, or form. They're just there. That happens with plays, films. Films less so, I'd say, but yeah, whatever. So I like elements of myth. I like elements of supernatural. But this one, of course, I guess you could count the cyborgs and how they're presented as kind of supernatural, because they can really survive without, you know, anything apart from their heads. I guess there's some sort of way that their brains are sustained, I think. In fact, that's how Alita survived for 300 years, and her brain's completely healthy. I mean, nothing was decomposing that. So clearly there's something that keeps them alive, and that may be kind of a bit of supernatural. I don't know. I'm not sure. But this film, you know, that's shown me what modern can be. That's you know, it's shown me though to you know, take a more of appreciation for where we've come and why we have taken that direction as creators, as spectators, as people. Do I have anything else to say? Yes. I did say I had a couple of nitpicks. My couple of nitpicks would be that how do I put this? Yeah, the Spanish in this film isn't quite the standard. There's songs that Robert Rodriguez was clearly hitting a bit of the Google Translate, if you know what I mean. This is water. My throat's completely dry. But I mean, I don't know. That's just me. I don't know why there was actually the Spanish undertones. There was actually more Spanish in the film than Japanese. And I think it was originally Japanese. I mean, most anime and manga actually are. I know there are some Korean, some Chinese, but I think this is a Japanese one. So, yeah, there was no Japanese at all. I heard no Japanese dialogue. I saw no kanji, no nothing. Ugh. Ooh, okay. That was bad. Yeah, so I've got dry throat and a cold. What of it? As I was saying, there was a sign at the end that says that you can look out for this at the final scene, where somebody is actually holding up a sign that says "Alita heads will roll" in Spanish. Alita rodarán cabezas. So I don't know. Just look out for that, and that actually was, you know, quite good. Maybe there's no accent on the A, but I can't remember. That was only there for a couple of seconds, and I didn't really have time to read anything else. So yeah, I'm surprised. I'm gonna look up the soundtrack while I edit this video, and I still have other things to do actually. But yeah, there was one song at the end. There was the end credits one. That's a swan song by Dua Lipa. If you maybe don't listen to that before you go and see the film. Although I guess it's kind of like Eminem's Venom. You could just do whatever you want there. I'm about to listen to it again. And yeah, in terms of this film, I could do a clip review once I get the footage, but I'm not going to. Because this is a film that you need to see in an IMAX cinema. In an IMAX cinema or somewhere with 3D. Hence, I still have these. Yes, the 3D is an essential part of this film, and I would argue that's true of Avatar as well. I don't know. Was it? I don't know if it was around when Titanic was there, but whatever. But yes, the 3D is definitely what makes this film. It takes a while to get used to at the beginning because it does, there's no escalation apart from the trailers to start it off. So yeah, it does take you sometimes by a little bit of surprise, or it takes a while to get used to. But eventually, as you become immersed in the film, after about 2 minutes, then you're in for the ride, and you're in for the ride for better, for absolutely better. Going back to what I was saying about effects, James Cameron has, in fact, like I said, always been at the top in terms of CGI, especially Titanic. He was, Titanic. He was one of the first to actually, use it really, really well, especially for the sinking of the ship. Avatar, well, we've all seen that one. There's nothing much to say about that. Although apparently they're doing sequels. I heard there was doing 7 sequels of Avatar. That's what my cousin's husband said. I don't know. There's clearly going to be a sequel of this film, by the way, but at the rate that the rights are going away, like I said before, I'll probably be 36. So look forward to that. Yeah. So, but yeah, this film you have to actually see in the cinema as it's going around. So go and watch it. And I'm sure that we will, because I'm sure this will become one of the highest grossing films of all time. Because, again, that's just my prediction based on James Cameron's previous history and all the trouble he's gone through. Apparently, they're getting the rights to Battle Angel Alita, supported 65... No, not 65. I'm taking off the year again. That was 63. Supported 15,000 jobs. That's what it said in the end credits. I'm not sure what those jobs actually were. Probably technical supporters, probably translators and things. I'm sure there was some Japanese involved in the discussions of acquiring the rights. Maybe Spanish as well. Who the heck knows? But whatever it was, whatever efforts it took, it's here, and I think it was good that it came out this year, because again, the 2020s are just around the corner, and we've got a new standard, or so reviewers are claiming anyway, and also because this was a story that started in 2001, so before Avatar, I think. Let's just say that if this came out the same year as the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, the first one, I mean, I don't think it would be as good visually. It would still be as great emotionally if this were the exact same script, which I'm sure is adapted very closely from the anime, even though the anime was a bit disjointed and doesn't actually have that much to adapt from. Whatever it took, I'm glad that it's here, and I'm glad that it's here now, and I'm definitely urging everyone to watch it. So for this video today, don't leave like, don't leave dislike, don't leave a comment. I mean, you can subscribe if you want, but I don't even need you to do that. What I need you to do is go online, get yourself a ticket, or go straight to an IMAX cinema, get yourself a ticket, and watch this film. You will not regret it. And it's only here for a while in cinemas. I'm sure I can watch it years later on DVD and on repeat and repeat and repeat. But this first experience I'm never forgetting, so I hope that you don't either. And on that note, until next time, farewell.